Hello and welcome to Unlimited Inner Peace podcast, where we delve into the secrets of finding inner peace and embracing it year round. I am your host, Julissa Ben Espinosa. Today, we want to talk about depression and specifically about practices that we can incorporate into our lives that can alleviate or heal depression. With us, we have today Dr. Andrea Thomas, who is a depression breakthrough strategist on a mission to empower patients to strategically apply a multifaceted approach that encourages lifestyle methods beyond medication to optimize vitality. Dr. Thomas, it's good to have you back. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here to have more conversation on this timely topic.
Awesome. I want to share with you some statistics about depression.
Okay.
Globally, an estimated 5% of adults suffer from depression. In the US alone, major depression is one of the most common mental illnesses, affecting more than 8% of American adults each year. That is 21 million adults in the US.
Wow.
15% of youth ages 12 through 17 suffer from major depression. That is 3.7 million youth. More women are affected by depression than men. There is an effective treatment for this mental disorder, and 2 out of 3 people don't seek treatment. This is amazing. When I was reading these statistics, my eyes were like, wow, this is crazy. I kind of knew, the depression it's rampant. It's all over.
Prevalence. It's quite prevalent.
So many people suffer from depression. When I saw the numbers, when you see the numbers, you're like, wow,
Right.
This is really a very this is a really deep problem that we have globally and more so here in the US. So to our audience, if you know of someone who is suffering from depression, ping them, send them this link so that they can watch and, they can be helped with the tips and practices that we are going to share here. I also wanted to share with you that during this conversation, we want to focus on the physical, because physical health can impact mental health tremendously. Both of them go hand in hand. Dr. Thomas, can you begin by defining depression and what are some of the symptoms that a person can experience?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So with depression, there are some criteria that clinicians use who practice in the mental health space. Basically, there are about 9 categories, and depression is defined when you have at least symptoms related to more than 5 of the categories, most of the day, just about every day, for at least a 2-week period consistently. Okay. And one of those symptoms has to be a depressed mood or loss of interest or pleasure in doing activities or things that you used to have interest and pleasure in doing.
Yes.
Such as feeling sad, being tearful. And for some people, the depression does not manifest or exhibit as sadness. I don't know if you've ever met anybody who's always like irritable, like kind of nasty, irritable.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was watching a reality show and there was a woman in a workplace who was just nasty, irritable. And it turned out that she had trauma in her life growing up with her mother. And I just felt that this particular woman was manifesting her depression, not as sadness, but her primary dominant ambiance or affect was irritability and just being short and nasty with everyone.
Because
another one
of the time, before you continue, most of the time, when we think about depression and people who are experiencing depression, our minds automatically go to people that are, sad and,
Right.
they don't want to move, they have no energy. We don't really think about people who are irritable, right?
That's very true.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very
That's
true.
interesting.
But it
That's
can, for
interesting.
some people, manifest that way or
Yeah.
alternating between the
Yes.
two. Um, Again, loss of interest or pleasure, particularly in things that you used to be gung-ho about, but no
Yeah.
longer are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Weight loss or weight gain. So, some people are emotional eaters.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're upset, they eat and they eat a lot of junk food. They eat a lot of sugar. They have cravings.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, they lose their appetite because of depressed and they don't feel like doing anything. They don't feel like going to the store. They don't feel like cooking, so they lose weight. Insomnia or hypersomnia.
Mm-hmm.
So most people who suffer from depression have insomnia. They have difficulty falling asleep. They fall asleep easily, or they can't stay asleep, or a combination of the two. That's common. However, on the opposite end, you have people who are called hypersomniacs,
Mm-hmm.
who like to sleep all day as much as possible all the time. And I believe that it's because it's an escape mechanism for them with not having to deal with reality. There's another thing called psychomotor agitation or retardation. Basically, you're moving slowly, or
Mm.
you're just very fidgety and restless all the time. You're not at peace,
Yes.
So for me, that manifested as having trouble getting up out of bed in the morning, being
Mm-hmm.
lethargic about getting dressed and getting ready. But once I got going and I got to work, boom, I would hit the ground running. But getting ready and getting out of bed was really difficult for me. And that often would manifest with me being late.
Mm.
So people
Interesting.
would think you just have a problem with being late. And that was not my issue.
Mm-mm.
My issue was morning
It was deeper than that.
agitation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fatigue or loss of energy. That's a big one. Feelings of hopelessness or inappropriate guilt. I remember there was a patient that had a history that I read in one of the charts at work where he witnessed a murder. I don't know the terms of the murder, if it was a relative, child, or friend, whatever it is, witnessing a murder is terrible. And
Yeah.
he had several episodes of trying to commit suicide himself because he felt guilty that he did not intervene enough or intervene appropriately or intervene quickly.
Wow.
I don't know the situation, but he was chronically depressed about that.
Wow.
Okay. Also, decreased concentration. That was a problem for me,
Mm.
especially in the morning. But once I got going, I was better.
Yes.
And sometimes motivation. So for me, motivation went along with that. So I know I need more help and I need to reach out for help for me when I can't get my work done. I can't seem to get it together. I can't focus. My motivation is in the toilet. That's when I know, okay, now you've progressed to a level where you need some more help. Okay.
Yes.
And then thoughts of death and suicide. They call that suicidal ideation, where
Mm-hmm.
you're focused on that, where you really worry with people. If you encounter someone, they're like, well, I'm thinking of hurting myself. You should immediately refer them to the ER, a hotline, preferably to the ER. If they're on the phone and all you can get them to is a hotline, then do that and call someone to check on them or to
Mm-hmm.
assist them and offer to stay with them at least till they get checked in.
Yes.
Because you don't want them to harm themselves. And the other thing
Yes.
is they may be so angry, they may want to hurt someone else, but
Yes.
they usually have remunerating thoughts. And when you worry, the first question you should ask them is, do you have a plan? Because if they have a plan, that's a step further to implementing the plan, as opposed to, I'm just thinking about it. Those are not normal thoughts. Those need to be addressed on an emergent level.
That's wow.
Those are the main things. And
That
of
is
those about 8 or 9 things I mentioned, at least 5 of those categories for most of the day, nearly every day for a period of over 2 weeks would be considered a diagnosis of clinical depression. And
wow.
if you've ever seen any of those commercials for medications to
Mm-hmm.
treat depression, they
Yes.
usually have a great pictorial of a character of a person with a black cloud over their heads
Exactly.
or
Yes.
rain, because
Yes.
it's a heaviness, it's a
Mm-hmm.
sadness, it's something
Mm-hmm.
over you that's like kind of holding you back or darkening your
You
spirit
can't
in the
shake
way that
it.
you things that you're having trouble shaking. Absolutely.
Yeah. That is very interesting, and understanding that this is a very serious and deep issue is very important. It's very important. So, as I mentioned, we want to focus on the physical during this conversation. So, I'll give it back to you, Dr. Thomas, so that you can share with us some of those practices that all of us can incorporate into our lives that can help alleviate depression or could heal depression as well.
So for me, I went to a wellness center when I was on your previous
Mm-hmm.
podcast
Yeah.
episode. We talked about me realizing that I had an abundance of toxins in my body, which were
Okay.
contributing to my digestive health and my mental health, and
Yes.
detoxing from those, which was a big part of my healing journey and my
Mhm.
breakthrough.
Okay.
So with that being at the wellness center, they also recommended that I change my diet and I'm largely plant-based. I do eat some eggs occasionally and some fish, but
Yes.
I used to be a big consumer of chicken. I had cut out beef a long time ago, but I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of the food that we eat, even the beef and the chicken, is laden with hormones, and your hormonal health regulates your emotional health. And I think that was a big issue for me. I don't, the
Mhm.
company Purdue Chicken makes a big deal, and this is the reason they make a big deal about they don't use hormones and
Mhm.
what they feed their chickens. A lot of places are feeding GMO corn, and GMO
Mhm.
products or foods have an adverse effect on our health. So they're feeding the animals this, and then they're injecting them with hormones, or they're putting hormones in the feed. So like the cows get fatter, faster, so they
Mhm.
can slaughter them and make more
Mhm.
money, so the hormones, and that can also, be in other things, but that's one of the reasons. So for me, the detoxing and diet were two big things that I'm still very passionate about and intentional about today. So within nutrition, one of the things that we started at the wellness center was intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So basically, we know what fasting is, where you
Yeah.
abstain from food. You can abstain from food and liquids completely. You can abstain from like condiments, like the Daniel fast is usually like very lean and clean, no condiments, no sugars, no refined products, things avoiding inflammatory foods. So with the intermittent fasting, you're still eating a diet, but you're shortening the window which you consume. So you shorten
Okay.
the window where you eat during the day. Optimally, they say 8 hours. It can be 10 hours or 12 hours. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to give your body a period free where you do not eat, so that the body can finish digesting, the body can rest, and the body can heal, repair, and filter. All of those affect your immunity and affect your mental health and your digestive health, and it prevents leaky gut and minimizes you building up toxins in your body. So one of
During the intermittent fasting,
mhm.
you mentioned that we want to eat as, as simple as possible, not condiments. Can you use like spices like salt and a little bit of cayenne, or is it better to leave those out as well?
So with intermittent fasting, this is usually something that people do as a lifestyle with
Okay.
like
Okay.
daily. So daily. So you can use spices. If you were doing say starting a detox and you did like 1 to 2 days where you just drank water and you didn't eat at all, I wouldn't recommend, or when you incorporate eating again in your diet, I wouldn't recommend much salt. We really should be minimizing salt in general.
Okay.
But with
Okay.
intermittent fasting, you can use salt, but of course, minimizing it is the best thing. So
Okay.
basically, let's say today I get up and at 7 o'clock I eat breakfast. And if I did an 8 hour window, by 3, I should be having my last meal.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So between that, and it's best to try to space out your meals between 4 and 5 hours to allow adequate digestion.
Yes.
So that's why you see some books where they say eat 2 meals a day, because that way you
Yes.
have your interval and then you have your long interval. So you space out the meals by 4 or 5 hours. So you eat at 7, you eat at 2 or 3, you don't eat anything else. So then you have that long window where you really give your body a rest period
Yes.
to do
Yes.
those other functions to build up. But what a lot of people do, or what one clinician told me, is they skip breakfast and then they eat later. But actually, it's better if you skip the dinner and eat earlier, because your metabolism slows down as you go throughout the day.
Yes.
All right. So what people don't realize about the beauty of fasting is when you eat a meal, it takes over 50% of your total body energy to digest that meal. So
Yeah.
that's why it's recommended that you don't eat before bed, because when
Mm-hmm.
you go to lie down, your body is working, spending
Yes.
50% of its energy, when that energy should be attributed to healing, filtering, and repairing.
That
So
makes
that's why fasting is so effective.
that makes sense.
Um, yes, we should also avoid, just in general, some principles about eating. You should avoid snacking. I know a lot of
Ooh.
clinicians will be like, you can have 3 meals and 2 snacks. That's hard for me. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, you may see Andrea snacking, and it might be because she's so busy and doesn't have time to eat a meal and take her time and chew properly. I might have a small snack.
Mm-hmm.
But it's best to have those 4 to 5 hours so your body completes the cycle of digestion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you eat your meal at 12 and then at 3 you have a snack, then your body's not done digesting the 12 o'clock meal, and now you're adding another cycle of digestion, and then at 5 you eat dinner. So you're really not getting the full cycle of digestion, and that's the reason why it's best not to snack.
So
So
you're kind of
one
like
way to work
overwork.
around that,
So you're kind of like
right?
overworking your digestive system.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So one trick that I do is I incorporate my snack with the meal.
Oh,
So,
okay.
okay, so if I want a little bit of dairy-free ice cream
Mm-hmm.
after, I'll eat my food, have my little bit of dairy-free there, and then that's it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And another thing is avoid what they call as grazing. Those are people who eat all day, eat snacks
Mm.
all day at
Yeah.
their desk, mindless eating. That's a bad thing, because again, you're like, well, I really don't eat much. I eat, like nuts, and I eat dried fruit, but you're stimulating your
Constant.
digestive system constantly. You need those intervals of rest to optimize absorption of the nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
filtering and clearing of the toxins. Okay.
Yes.
Um, well, let's talk a little bit about water.
Yes.
Why is water important? We all know it's important, right? It helps
Yeah.
to flush out your system,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
helps your cells do the things that it needs to do. There's some
Mm-hmm.
people who say, oh, well, I hate water. I hate the water's tasteless. What do you hate about it? But the truth is, we all know, depending on where you live and the water you consume, it does have a taste. Well,
Yes.
I tell you, find a water that you like. I
Yes.
suggest that you filter your water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a Berkey filter. That's one that's really good. It filters, it's expensive. You can buy a small one for maybe like $300, but folks, this is lifestyle stuff. You're going to drink water forever. You're going to cook
Forever.
with water forever. This
Yes.
is something that I think you need to take seriously and invest in. One of these days, I would like to have a whole house filtration system, but I'm not there yet. Okay. So
Yes.
right now it's the Berkey water filter. All
Yes.
right. Because I
Yes.
would like to shower in filtered water. I'm not there yet. So right now, this is what I use for the water that I drink and for the water that I cook with.
So we have
Okay.
to we have to view this not as a spend. Yes, you're spending your funds, but this is more so of an investment in your health and your family's
Absolutely.
health.
Perfectly said. An investment, a long-term investment in your health.
Yes.
And and I worked at a place, and I got tested one time, and an impurity showed up, or a toxin showed up, that my doctor told me was attributed excuse me, to the water that I was consuming. And I was like, what? My house? And then I realized, Andrea, you drink most of your water at work. When you go to work, I would
Mhm.
container and fill up 6
Yes.
glasses
Yes.
throughout the day. So then I said, it's not the house, it's the work. And then a girlfriend was like, this water filter we have here, we don't know if this is a good quality one. It's got plastic tubes. The hot water goes through the plastic tubes. It leaches the plasticizers into your tea or your coffee, you
Mhm.
know. So then I was like, I'm done. I filter my water and I carry my water to work. I
Yes.
have a big container. I carry my own water.
I do the
That's
same
me.
thing. I carry my own water to work. It's heavy, but I bring it with me.
Right. Again, an investment in my health that I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
also helps me keep track of how much water I drank for the day. Did you finish
True.
this, Andrea? Because you're supposed to finish this. Okay.
Exactly, exactly.
All right. One more thing about water. Y'all not going to like this, but I have to. I would be
What
doing you a
is it?
disservice by not telling you.
All right.
Please, please avoid drinking out of plastic water bottles.
Ooh.
Please avoid drinking out of plastic water bottles.
Ooh.
And here is why. Here is why.
Mm-hmm.
There is a chemical called phthalates. Some people pronounce it phthalates. It's spelled PHTHALATES. This is an endocrine disruptor. This means that it binds to receptors in your body and mimics hormones. So thereby it's throwing off your hormonal system. It can potentially down the line lead to diabetes, hormonally mediated mechanisms like diabetes, potentially hormonally mediated cancers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying this alone, but these are the ramifications of this type of toxin in your body. I've never liked, even before I found this out, I never liked bottled water because I always tasted the plastic.
Ah.
Phthalates are found in, it's what gives plastic water bottles their flexible shape. They're
Mm-hmm.
also commonly found in cosmetics, fragrances. Okay. So when I talked about having to revamp the things that I use, the products, the cosmetics I use, the lotions that I use. So basically anything that has fragrance in it has phthalates in it. And
Okay.
when I got tested, phthalates was one of the high things in my testing profile.
Okay.
So I changed out the detergents I use, fragrance free, cosmetics I use, the lotions, the creams. You know, if you want anything scented, you need to use something like that's essential oil based, organic essential oil, not synthetic essential oils.
Yes.
Okay. So if
Mm-hmm.
you read a label, so now I read a label. If it says fragrance, I don't use it. If it says parfum, which is French for perfume, that's the way that they camouflage it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it. If it has phthalate anywhere, a long chemical name with phthalate at the end, I avoid using it. The water bottles, the other thing, so that's why I'm sensitive to the taste. Other people are not. There are some brands where you don't taste it, but for me in general, I would always taste it. So they recommend also not storing food in those plastic things because the longer
Okay.
you store it, it rubs off into the food. If you heat up those plastics, it definitely leaches into your food. So if
Wow.
you bring something in a plastic container, you should put it in a glass, a Pyrex, a paper plate, then heat it up in the microwave. And also, so here's the other thing, when you go for fast food, some of their places they store it in
Plastic.
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 So you should, as quickly as possible, put it in non-plastic.
Yes.
Or if you're eating at a restaurant, let the food be cold, then put it in the plastic. But
Yes.
don't put hot food in the plastic. And
Yeah.
I know some people who are like, oh, well, I've switched over to using just all water bottles because it's purified and the phthalates are not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave plastic water bottles in your car in the hot sun, in your trunk. Some people were keeping bottles in their trunk and then just grabbing one. That heat leaches the plastic even more into the water. So
Mm.
that's a really big thing.
So we really need to invest in this filter.
Invest in the filter.
Mm.
And I'm going to tell you the truth. When I travel, I drink out of plastic water bottles. It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
But for like your everyday home, or if I'm going to an outdoor veg fest and it's hot, it's July, I'm going to drink the water. I'm going to bring mine because it's hard to port all the, I'm going to bring some with me. I'm going to drink before I go. I'm going to drink before I get out the car. I'm maybe bring one with me to drink and in my metal or whatever from home and try to get by without it. But if I have to buy it, I'm going to buy it. And sometimes when I go to foreign countries, I just have to do it because that's how I get the water in.
Yes.
But try to be selective if you can. And when I come home, I do a detox.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So it's not a never, you got to look at the situation, but it should
Yeah.
not. I know some people who are like, oh, I only drink out of plastic water bottles. That's a bad habit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's move on and talk about detoxing. You ready to talk about that?
Let's do it.
All righty. So I bought a portable sauna for my home. Um, and I had been hearing about saunas. I know there are some functional medicine practitioners, and
Mm-hmm.
functional medicine practitioners is a specialty like internal medicine,
Mm-hmm.
neurology, gastroenterology, and they are dedicated to more holistic treatments. And they are dedicated to identifying the cause of issues, the deep underlying cause that often goes underlooked, like the toxins. And I know some that I've been watching or following their webinars, and they make it required that their clients use the saunas. So I wanted to do one, but I like to do my hair. I was like, how am I going to get past that sweating? And then I found that there's one that you sit in, you zip it up. It's like a cube, and then your head is out.
Oh,
So that's what I invested in. That's what I
okay.
invested
Okay.
in. Be careful because there are a lot that are made of flimsy, cheap materials that
Mm-hmm.
are actually, as the unit heats up, getting into the unit, and then you're like opening up your pores and sucking in more toxins.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
as a general rule, if you're paying less than 700, those portable ones go for about 700 to 1,000. If
Mm-hmm.
you're paying less than 700, 600, you're probably getting one that's not good quality, that's not going to get enough temperature for you, and one that's leaching toxins in the
Yeah.
materials that they use. So
Yeah.
some of them come with a chair. The
Mm-hmm.
chair should have rust-free screws. It shouldn't have varnish on it because, again, that's going to melt, get into the air, and you're absorbing that right into your pores.
Yes.
So you could actually do sauna daily, before bed is good, wash it off and lie down. You want to get over, the studies have shown 155, 165 degrees. If you can,
Ooh,
work up
that's
to it
high.
for 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Because the other thing is some of them will get that high and you don't sweat. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
because of the efficiency of the model that the materials they use isn't really compressing the heat enough.
Yes.
Yes. But that's not to say that lower temperatures and you having a sweat is not working, but the studies have shown that those are the temperatures that you need to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also with detox, I do oil pulling, which is basically you take organic coconut oil, about a tablespoon, you put it in your mouth, you swish it around for about 15 minutes, and then you expel it. Don't expel it in your sink because it will harden in your sink and clog your pores. You want to expel it in the trash. And this removes toxins from the mouth, which affects your digestive system. You
Okay.
can do that every day. Um, One of my doctors says, I can't do 15 minutes. She's like, I can only do 5 or 10. Okay, she does 5 or 10. What I do is I brush my teeth, I do the oil pulling, I put the oil in my mouth, I take my shower, I come out, I dry off, put my lotion on. That's how I get my 15 minutes in.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another thing is dry brushing, where you have a special brush. And I think, Jaleesa, you told me about this. They're
Yes.
available on Amazon. And
Yeah.
basically, with dry brushing, you're lightly brushing your skin with this brush. They recommend that you do it before you take a shower, and you have to do it in specific directions. There are
Mm-hmm.
charts online and videos on YouTube all over your body, and it's to facilitate moving lymph in your body. And your
Mm-hmm.
lymphatic system is another system, just like your digestive or neurologic system or your respiratory system. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but basically this is a system that facilitates waste removal from the body. Remember,
Yes.
we want to get rid of those toxins, that waste. You
Mm-hmm.
want your system to be as clean as possible. So it takes about 5 minutes. They recommend you do it before you take a shower. If you don't, you can do it any time of the day, but it's generally recommended to do it before you take a
Before.
shower.
Mm-hmm.
It helps remove lymph from the body. Another quick thing.
All right.
Um, lastly, detox can involve taking medications or binders to bind specific toxins. It can involve using supplements as a means to pull out specific toxins, and a clinician can help you with that. Or it can just be doing food or water and fasting as a means of detox. The wellness center I went to did it with food.
Okay.
There's Green Smoothie Girl who does hers with green smoothies, and a meal plan to go with the the green smoothies.
Okay.
She does it every year. Collectively, she does it twice a year, every year in January. She has a book with all the recipes, your shopping list. They do no salt, they do no grains,
Mhm.
minimal grains. She teaches you how to make the smoothies. She helps you buddy up with people in your area if you want to do it together with someone and plan
Yes.
the
Yes.
meals and cook for each other and have support. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the whole thing is about, and she sends out emails every day with like videos about the oil pulling and everything. And the whole thing takes 26 days. And I think the average person loses about 12 to 15 pounds,
Okay.
because as you
Oh, that's
release,
a good
your
number.
body puts, yeah, your body layers fat to help put those toxins somewhere so they don't
Yes.
go like right to your brain and other places and
Mm-hmm.
cause immediate harm. So
Yeah.
when you detox and you flush and pull out those toxins, people naturally lose weight. So
Yes.
that's why you're seeing those weight shifts right away.
Oh, wow.
So Green Smoothie Girl is just one that I'm familiar with. I think if you buy the book and the plan and the videos, it's like $150, which is relatively affordable for most people. You can read books and do it, but I think having the community and the support in the videos
Yeah. Yeah.
is helpful. You know,
Yeah.
there are others out there, but that's just one that I know that's just food based without any supplements. But
Yeah.
many people may have more toxins that will take more months to do and need more assistance with binders,
Mm-hmm.
herbal binders, if that's more interesting to you than pharmaceutical
Yes.
binders.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Let's next talk about going to a lifestyle or wellness center like I did.
Yeah.
I'm a strong proponent of this because for several reasons. I think it jumpstarts you in
Mm-hmm.
your depression journey. You
Mm-hmm.
get support, you get assistance, and most of the places I think are at least intentional about helping you with some type of game plan when you leave. If they're
Yeah.
not, you should be intentional about a game plan about how am I going to do this? And don't just think about it and fret to yourself. Say to them, hey, I love this. I feel great, but I'm just worried about when I go home, what I can do. And
Yeah.
somebody there should be able to tell you, or a frequent flyer who comes back for what I call a tune-up. That's what we call it in the medical world. When people come back in the hospital and they kind of got off kilter with their health and they need to just get back into balance, we call it a tune-up, where they go back just for the tune-up and the refreshing and
Mm-hmm.
the support. So I strongly advocate that. Where do you find these? There are faith-based ones, there are non-faith-based ones. I know of a few faith-based ones I can tell you about. I haven't visited all of them. I don't know any. Don't know all the people. And actually, I'm trying to get together a list,
Mm-hmm.
another promotional item I would like to offer in the future, where if you have one, let me know because I want to put it on the list because people want to
Yeah.
know, because a
Yeah.
lot of them are small, mom and pop,
Mm-hmm.
family based, very small ones, but they're doing awesome work. A lot of them are
Yes.
manned by medical missionaries,
Mm-hmm.
and they may be more affordable than some of the bigger institutions. So
Exactly.
they can run the gamut from, 150 a day to thousands of
Yes.
dollars.
Yes.
And
Yes.
some of them are very adamant with certain disease states and issues that you're coming for, that you stay at least 2 weeks to really get the benefit,
Yeah. Yeah. That
but
makes
there
sense.
are some, yeah, there are some smaller ones and they have fixed schedules, but there are others that are, the one I went to has a rolling admission. You can come as long as they have space,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's, what is it? Eden in New York. I went to Beacon of Hope in New York. There's a Cry in the Wilderness up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
There's one in Maine.
I've heard
There's
of a
Uchee
couple. And
Pines.
I've heard
Yeah,
about those. So we can,
California.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't really know much in the Midwest. There are some, but if you have one, please reach out to me because I
yes,
want to put them
yeah,
on the list. These podcasts go far and wide,
exactly,
and
exactly. And we
you
can
may have
share,
a family member, right?
yeah,
If you
we
have a
can share
family
on the
member,
description of the video,
right? Yes,
some that, people can look into, definitely.
right. And feel free to call them even if they're not near you because they know each other and they may
Yeah,
have a relative or a friend or a colleague somewhere else or to help
that
you
they can
find one in
recommend.
your area.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And try to unplug. Most of them are out near nature or um, close to nature. Try to unplug. Try not to be on your phone. Try
Mm-hmm.
to focus on and embrace the process and have an open mind. If they say no
Yes.
eating after 5, no eating after 5, go to bed. Take advantage of it while you're there. That's what you're there for.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about exercise.
Ooh, exercise.
Exercise. I didn't used to do it really. And hey, my regimen is basic. I want to expand it. Right
Okay.
now, I walk.
Okay.
I think the Surgeon General recommends 30 minutes at least 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you can only do three, do three. If you can only do two, do two. Whatever you do, try to be consistent, you know.
And
Also, the
and
Surgeon General
walking,
recommends steps.
yeah, like walking is
Your
something that
steps.
most people can do, right? You don't have to
Most people can do it.
invest in anything. You just get your shoes on and let's go out and walk.
And that's why I love it. So I used to watch The Biggest Loser, and one season their theme was no excuses. And it was instead of making excuses not to do the things that you should do that you know are good for you and healthy, like exercising and eating, try to be creative and find a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like walking because, like you said, no exercise equipment. You don't have to go to the gym. I'm not a big into going to the gym and wearing the cute clothes and having to look a certain way. That may all be in my head. You don't need to do that, but that's a deterrent for me. Having to drive somewhere, having to go swimming, change my
Yes.
clothes, get in the
Yes.
pool, rinse off, do my hair. Like that's swimming won't work for me. But walking and I mean, let me give you some examples. My husband and I go away for the weekend. We're at a hotel. I get dressed first. He's in the shower. Hey, babe, I'm going to go walking. Oh, where you going? It's raining outside. I'm just going to walk up and down this hallway.
Yes.
Set your timer for 20 minutes. If I'm not back, come find me and see if anyone kidnapped me. But those are things that I do. You
Yes.
know, oh,
Yeah.
you're not ready? I'm going to go outside and walk for 15 minutes by the car till you come.
Yeah.
You
No
know,
excuses.
right. You have a break at work for 10 minutes. Go outside for 10 minutes and walk in the office park.
Yes.
When it rains, I walk in the house. It's not a big house, but it's big enough. I go to the kitchen, dining room, hallways, and I walk circles. That's what I do. I was at a family member's house and I did that, and they say, "You're wearing a hole in my carpet and making me dizzy." And I think it was just because I was making them upset to remind them of what they're not doing and they could be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one more tip about walking. Many cities have mall walking programs. I don't know if you know this, but on rainy
What,
days and in the
what do you
winter,
call it? Mall walking?
mall walking programs. You're a local
Okay.
mall. You
Okay.
can go and it's geared towards seniors. Who
Yeah.
cares? No one's gonna know who you are. If you're not a senior,
Yeah.
forget the
Yeah.
mall is a big place. They
Mm-hmm.
open up the mall before the mall opens just so you can walk.
Oh, wow. I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of that.
I heard about that I think on a podcast, and lo and behold, my mall 15 minutes away has that. So that's an option when it rains.
Yes.
And if you have a shopping problem, let me tell you something. Leave your wallet in the car. Leave your
Yes.
wallet in the car. Take your
Yes.
keys, take your phone, plug up, listen to an audio book,
Mm-hmm.
and walk in the mall.
Yes.
Get
Yeah.
a friend.
That's a good idea.
That's
That's a
something I
good
do
idea.
when it's really cold outside and you can't do
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
you can get your sunshine at the same time, which helps your immunity, stimulates your vitamin D. What
Mm-hmm.
do the drug commercials have? They have the cloud with the rain over the depressed person, and then what happens? The sunshine comes, and there's sun and the
Yeah.
birds. You
Yes.
know, when I
Yeah.
walk, I like to walk when it's sunny. If it's not, it's not. but
Mm-hmm.
I listen to something motivational while I do it, my Bible, book, um, testimonies,
Yes.
anything uplifting. Breathe deeply, pump your arms. When you pump your arms, this is another thing to help move the lymph through your body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but whatever exercise, I want to get into some weight training. I need to do some weight bearing exercises. But right
Yes.
now I walk
Yes.
and I do stretch therapy twice a week, where I
Mm-hmm.
go somewhere and a clinician helps me stretch in positions that I can't stretch myself. For example, if I'm lying on a table and my leg is up in the air, they help me bend my leg backwards to get a deeper stretch. So that's assisted stretching that I do twice a week for
All
50
right, all
minutes.
right. Thank you. Dr. Thomas, we are running out of time. So what other things you have there that you want to share with us?
How about gratitude, exercising gratitude?
Okay, okay. Let's look
Um,
at that.
I am reading this book. It's called Everything is Better Than You Think, How Gratitude Can Transform Your Life by Will Johns.
Everything is
And it's,
better than you think. Okay.
yes, Everything is Better Than You Think. The subtitle is How Gratitude Can Transform Your Life by Pastor Will Johns or Dr. Will Johns. And he's talking about the benefits of gratitude and how it's is something that you can do in the moment and you can see immediate benefits, because the Bible talks about be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your request be made known unto God. That's Philippians 4, verse 6. And then in verse 7, you
Amen.
see the results. And the peace,
Peace of
and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds
mind. Yes,
through Christ Jesus.
yes.
So practicing gratitude in the moment. Start paying attention to what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So in periods of stress, like I had a day where it was the end of the day and I got a referral and it was like the monster of what referrals we call the train wreck. And my colleague came and I was like, oh, really? Now all of this? And I'm tired. And my colleague came up to me and she said, Andrea, I heard you got that referral. I feel so bad for you. But oh, if it were me, I literally would have cried. I literally would have cried. I don't mean to keep you. I know you're busy. You got to get that done, but I can help you do this. And she took one small part off of my plate. And I was so grateful, you
Grateful.
know?
Yes,
So I just had to say, thank you, Lord, that you move on the hearts of men and women and that she came and offered to help me with a small task. And I
yeah,
was so appreciative. And that just gave me a little more umph to get through it.
yeah.
So ways that we can practice gratitude is just before the end of the day, before you go to bed, think of 3 things that happened that day that you can be thankful for. And if something bad happened, like, oh my goodness, I got this referral and I'm trying to go out, leave on time, and this is a lot of work. But thank you that my coworker came and helped me. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
I thank you that we had a good podcast today and we didn't have any connection issues, you know.
yes,
Some
yes.
examples, he says, taking a gratitude walk. While you walk, just think of things that you can be grateful for and thank God. Sharing gratitude with someone else, prayers of gratitude, remembering the difficult times, writing down your gratitude, and telling a gratitude story. If you've ever seen the movie War Room, what did the woman do? She wrote down her prayers and wrote
Yes,
down when God answered them. That's
yes.
a way of showing gratitude.
Yes. For most people, um, it's hard because they are focusing on the negative of that situation, right? And let's say it happens at the beginning of the day, it kind of like ruins their whole day and they can't think of one thing that they are grateful for. But practicing gratitude is very important because it changes our way of thinking, right? And it
Right.
also forces us to not only or not focus on the negative that actually happened, but it forces us to look for the good in that situation.
Absolutely. And I have found that the more consistent I am with doing it, like when I'm
Yes.
like, oh, really? And then I'm like, is there something I can think that's good about this? Or I'll be like, I'll just say, Lord, help me. And in 10 minutes, the coordinator will come back and she'll be like, give me back that referral. It's not going today. And I'll be like, thank you, Lord. I just needed a break. That's
Yes.
happened too. I just needed a break, you know? So the more you do it and the more intentional you are and catching yourself instead of letting, like you said, letting that ruin your whole day. Think
Yes.
about, okay, Lord, well, okay, I got this out the way, but I didn't get any more. And I was able to finish the other things. You helped me finish those other tasks really, expediently. I'm grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
So it becomes
That is,
more automatic the more you do it.
yes, that is wonderful. So we have time for one more thing, one more practice that
One more
we incorporate.
thing.
Yes.
Um, okay, so let's talk about volunteering.
Okay, volunteering. Yes, that's fun.
So pick something you like,
Uh-huh.
pick something that has value to you,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're focused on helping someone else, particularly someone else less fortunate, it
Yeah.
takes the focus off of you and your problems, and
Yeah.
it makes you kind of think, well, gee, my life isn't that bad. There
True.
are others who have worse situations, and I'm thankful for my situation because I could work through it. Now I see I could work through that, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how I would handle
Yeah.
that situation that someone has. So, Lord, I thank you for my situation and showing me that it's not all about me, that there are
Mm-hmm.
others in need that I can pour into. Um, so do something that's relatable to you, that you like, that you feel
Yeah.
that you can have an impact,
Yes.
because you don't want to be so focused on negativity. When people are depressed, they tend to suck in a lot of negativity from other things.
Yeah.
This
It's
is a
like
way to put the
negativity
spin on it.
follows them because it's like they're just
Right, right.
calling for that. Yeah.
Right. They're just adding to their, oh, that's negative. Oh, yeah. See, look,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is proof. I have this basket of all these negative things,
Yeah.
instead of focusing through the lens of trying to be more positive, and that's where the gratitude comes in. Even in a bad situation, is there something good about this, or something that later that I can say, you know what, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Thomas, if people want to find you, how can they get in touch with you?
So my email is breakthroughdepression@gmail.com. That's BREAKTHROUGH. Breakthrough Depression, all one word, @gmail.com. My website is askdrandreathomas.com, and it's DRANDREATHOMAS, all one word, no dots, askdrandreathomas.com. And my YouTube channel is Breakthrough Depression Strategies
Breakthrough
on
Depression
YouTube.
Strategist on YouTube. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
Depression Breakthrough Strategies on YouTube. Not break, it's opposite.
Okay.
Depression Breakthrough Strategies on
Okay.
YouTube.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for accepting to be here with us and sharing these very interesting and important practices that we can all, even if we're not suffering from depression, we can incorporate all of these practices into our lives so that we can get better, right?
Yeah.
And again, I would like to invite all of you, if you know of someone who is suffering from depression, go ahead and ping them. Send them this link so that they can watch and they can start in their journey to healing, to getting better as they incorporate these practices that Dr. Thomas shared with us. Thank you very much, and we see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.